Yesterday I registered to play in the WSOP Poker Ladies Event. I plan on playing the event and donating a portion of my winnings to a charity that benefits a women's cause. As part of our preparation, we made a prop bet about playing in drag, which I lost. A significant majority of the women I ran into during the early levels of the tournament seemed to be amused by my outfit. Eventually I did find out that some people were offended by what I was wearing, and that was never my intent. I decided to buy out of the prop bet so I could change into different clothing during the first break. I realized that it was a mistake to play in the World Series Poker Ladies Event in drag, and I apologize to everyone who was offended by it. I hope that my poor decision on that point doesn't overshadow a more important issue: why I decided to play in the event. I support women poker players. My grandmother is the reason why I play poker. She taught me the game and is my inspiration to this day. She continues to play 2-4 limit in tournaments at the age of 90. Although I have immense support for female players, what I don't support is gender-segregated bracelet events at the World Series of Poker. I think that by having a ladies event, the World Series of Poker is sending the message that there's reason to separate men and women on poker's biggest stage. I don't agree with that message. I believe that poker has no gender. To be clear, I played in the ladies event because I don't believe in gender segregation at the World Series of Poker. While some of you may not agree with my timing or tactics, I cannot think of a better time to focus on the gender equality in poker issue than during this event. I think that instead of having gender segregated events, we need to focus more on how we can convince women that they have the right skills or give them the opportunities to develop as a player rather than putting women in separate events. The World Series of Poker is the most prestigious poker tournament series in the world. If we as the poker community are supposed to believe that poker is a game of skill, then why is the World Series of Poker making gender-based decisions about who should and should not play in one of the events? Some people who argue in support of ladies' events say it's a great way to bring women into the game. I can agree with that in some settings. The tournament run by organizations like the Lips Tours and High Heel Poker Tour are great introductory events for ladies. The buy-ins range from $150 to $200, which seem to be more fit for an introductory event. However, I think that these introductory events best serve as training opportunities for women in the hope that they will be comfortable enough to play in open events in the future. One of the most interesting ideas I read was from Barry Shulman. Today in his blog on cardplayer.com, Shulman advocated that there be a World Series of Poker tournament just for players who have never entered one before. This idea seems like a fantastic gender-neutral means to bring new players to the World Series of Poker and may generate a strong opening event turnout. I'm not sure if Shulman thinks this should be a bracelet event, but I think it should be. Think about it as the Rookie of the Year tournament. I hope the Players Advisory Council considers this idea for next year's World Series of Poker schedule. Regardless of how you feel about my participation in the World Series of Poker Ladies event, there is an area where I think Harrah's, Rio, and World Series of Poker staff crossed the line. When I attempted to register for the ladies event, the person at the cage told me that I could not register and that I had to speak with security personnel first. Security told me and the other guys who were trying to register that if we tried to play, there would be punishments. Our personal belongings were searched as well because I think security was trying to find any possible reason to remove us from the property. To my knowledge, no women were questioned, searched, or harassed by Harrah's, Rio, or World Series of Poker staff when they attempted to register for the ladies event or any other event during the series. I have played in several World Series events prior to the ladies event and was previously never questioned, searched, or harassed by staff. Even after we were allowed to register, Rio security continued to harass us. They kept telling us that they have the right to kick out anyone at any time and they would be using that right against us. After hearing this again, one of my friends decided to unregister from the event. Once inside the tournament area, we were still under very high scrutiny by security and floor personnel. My understanding is that Harrah's, Rio, and the World Series of Poker cannot legally prevent a guy from registering for the ladies event on the basis that he's a guy. Instead, they try to find excuses to keep me and other male players from registering and try to use intimidation tactics to keep us from registering and playing. Once that didn't work, Harrah's, Rio, and World Series of Poker personnel appeared to look for ways to retaliate against us for playing in the event since they could not prevent us from playing. When I was told about the cardplayer.com article mentioning the World Series staff were looking into repercussions against any man that entered the ladies event, I immediately became concerned. I play poker for a living. Participation by men in the ladies event was not prohibited by World Series of Poker official tournament rules. Although Harrah's, Rio, and World Series staff used tactics to prevent it, it was eventually permitted to play in the event. Based on the comments by World Series of Poker staff, it seems that World Series of Poker is now trying to find a way to punish me and the other men who played based on something that Harrah's, Rio, and the World Series of Poker permitted us to do. Retaliating against me and the other male players because of our gender violates Nevada law from what I understand. I did not engage in any behavior that was out of line of the tournament rules. I did not receive any penalties during my participation in the ladies event, or any other World Series of Poker event for that matter. I engaged in friendly chatter with my table mates so that I could show them that I was there to support them. I even posted a sign in front of me saying that I support women poker players, but I don't support gender-segregated events at the World Series of Poker. If threats by Harrah's, Rio, and the World Series of Poker to issue suspensions or bans of myself and the other men who played in the ladies event become reality, I think it's logical to conclude that basis of the suspension or ban is solely based on gender. If that's not a discriminatory practice, I don't know what is. Even if you disagree with my reasons for playing in the World Series of Poker Ladies event, I can assure you that my intention was to promote inclusion of more women in all open poker events. I do apologize to any person who played in the ladies event and was offended by my presence there. I never had that intention. I suspect that debates about whether ladies events are good or bad for poker will continue for many years, and I am proud to now be a part of this discussion. Hopefully my actions yesterday and my statements today will add to the debate in a productive way. I'd also like to thank Annie Duke, among many others, most of which were women, who supported my participation in the ladies event. Annie tweeted yesterday this comment: "Thank you to all the men playing the ladies event this year. I appreciate you standing up for sexual equality. I'd also like to congratulate Liv Borey, Jess Wellman, and Bryce Diafuca, the last man standing, each of them cast in the World Series of Poker ladies event this year." This is the final statement I am making about the World Series of Poker Ladies event because I would now like to focus on future events. Thank you for your time.